So, people are going to vote for Roosevelt, so they're voting Democrat. So they vote Democrat down the ticket, okay? And a bunch of members of Congress that are Democrats are elected with the president. So the president has coattails. He brings in a bunch of members of Congress of the same party. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, sorry. Yeah, that's how it all started.
Saying riding someone's coattails.
Yep, exactly. Riding on somebody's coattails. Like to get a job, you know? Yeah. Okay. So the Democrats are going to do something they had not done since the Civil War. And that is control both houses of Congress. Okay? See, Roosevelt had won a lot of new friends with the New Deal. Somebody heard that. You heard it?
I heard it.
Okay. He'd won a lot of new friends with his New Deal. Okay. Now, what you start to see here, guys, pretty interesting. We talked about this in government, like voting demographics here. So you see these groups of people that become faithful to the Democratic Party, voters. Okay. So you got urban areas, still the case today. Yeah. Farmers, blue collar workers, changing with Trump a little bit there, right? Okay. Teachers, yes. Social workers, yes. Immigrants, kind of depends today where they're from. And African Americans. You know what you can add to this list in the 1930s? Catholics. So if your grandparents were in this country and they were Catholic in the 1930s, or great grandparents, where chances are they were Democrats. Okay? Just like the South, right? The South was heavily Democratic. Yes? So as we look at it today, as I just mentioned, farmers probably lean more to the Republican Party today. And immigrants, people from Cuba tend to be conservative, hate communism, socialism, so they vote Republican. Okay. And African Americans, you look at that, and Trump actually did better with African American men than any Republican candidate in decades. Okay. African American women stayed away from Trump, but the men, he got close to 25%. Okay. So, and then if you look at polls today, now you guys that have government know, can you trust the polls? Okay. But if you look at Hispanic Americans today, their approval rating of Joe Biden is underwater. Okay. And you look at independents right now, 60% of independents disapprove of Joe Biden. 20% think he's doing a good job. That's a huge number. 40% gap there. Okay. So you look at the midterms in November, unless something happens. Now, of course, Joe Biden, if Russia doesn't invade, is going to call that a victory. He's going to use that to try and, prop himself up, which is fine. I hope there isn't a war there. And I want the president to succeed there. I don't want to see a war. We don't need that. You think your gas prices are high right now? Have a war in Ukraine. See what happens to gas prices.
It's not expensive.
What's that?
So it would be expensive if you're in Ukraine.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Do you want to be in Ukraine right now?
Let's kid ourselves. If we go to war with Russia, I'm pretty sure most of the guys in this room.
We're not going to war. But we're not going to war.
I said if we do,
Yeah.
they're definitely, the draft is coming back out.
Yeah. Now, I don't know if you've ever heard the Wag the Dog Theory. There's a really good movie, and somewhat based on truth, is that when presidents are really struggling, they look for something to change the subject. And nothing better to change the subject than a war that brings support to that president. Okay, because people will rally around their leaders when there's a war. Okay, and so that's called Wag the Dog. Start a war and get your poll numbers up. Okay? And if just listen to the rhetoric, because you listen to Zelensky, who's the president of Ukraine, he has been very calm about this. The United States has been more like, panicky than the Ukraine has. Okay? Because Zelensky's like, they've had troops on their border for years now. You understand? This isn't new. Now, they've got more than they've had before. That's for sure. Okay? All right, new kind of president, radio president. He talks to people as if they're friends. His paralysis, those that know he's paralyzed, make him human. He doesn't talk over people's head. He communicates well. Roosevelt is very much liked. Okay? And he's very close with the media. Look at this. Hoover gave 66 press conferences in 4 years. That's like once a month, right? Now, that's probably more than Joe Biden, but it's like once a month. Roosevelt gave 337 in his first term. That's like one every 4 days. 4 or 5 days. Term, it's 4 years, yeah. 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 So he was constantly around the media. They were his friends. Now, when you're friends with the president, do you ask him tough questions? No, you ask him softball questions. You know what a softball question is, right? Now, this is slow pitch softball. Here's an easy question. Hit it out of the park. Softball question. Okay? You don't want to throw him a curveball because Joe Biden might get confused. Right?
I think he gets confused.
In fact, he gave an 11-minute press conference yesterday and took no questions. Now, that's okay. He doesn't have to take questions. And maybe it was good that he didn't yesterday. He made his statements about the Ukraine, and then he said, that's it. I'll keep you up to date. And actually, I don't have a problem with that. I do like our president to take questions, though. And I do like the media to ask tough questions. Because they're the only ones that get to it. Now, Joe Biden has a list of names that his advisors tell him to call on. Okay? Now, every now and then he'll call on that one Peter Doocy from Fox News. Now, I don't know if you remember about a month ago, he called him a jackass or something. Did you catch that?
Yeah.
On a hot mic? Okay? So, this is,
I thought he called him a dumb. I thought it was stupid.
Yes, it was.
Stupid son of a bitch. Yeah, son of a bitch is a Joe Biden thing. Were you done? You done? Okay. From your homework, those 11 of you that did it, I asked about the Roosevelt Recession. Now, this is big. Because, guys, look. Things went really well in 36. You have the court backing scheme, which is going to really bring some negative press on Roosevelt. Because even Democrats criticized Roosevelt for talking about packing the court. Okay? And so then, with the Supreme Court overturning many of these programs like the NRA, the AAA, and so forth, we're actually going to slip backwards. So this Roosevelt recession comes on the eve of the midterm elections in 1938. Do you guys know what's going to happen in the midterms this November? Most likely, Democrats are going to take a drubbing. That's not new. Midterm elections usually go against the president's party. Okay? But this is going to be a drubbing. Okay? Republicans are going to pick up 75 seats in the House and 7 in the Senate. Okay, that's a big swing. Okay, so 32, Roosevelt, you with me? 32, Roosevelt wins. 34, Democrats actually did well. 36, Roosevelt wins and has coattails. 38, Republicans push back. Okay, now one of the things where Roosevelt made a mistake. Was it in here yesterday we were talking about blue dog Democrats? How many of you guys know who Joe Manchin is? Okay, he's a senator from West Virginia. He's a Democrat. Now, guys, in the last presidential elections, West Virginia is the second or third reddest state in the union. But one of their two senators is a Democrat. Every 6 years when Joe Manchin runs for governor, he runs commercials that West Virginians get to see, and he's holding a rifle, and he's hunting, and he's talking about how he respects the Second Amendment to get reelected in West Virginia. He's one of a few conservative Democrats left. Okay? When Roosevelt was president, you guys know the difference between social issues and fiscal issues. Fiscal issues would be taxes and spending. Social issues are things like family values, Bible issues, stuff like that. Okay? So in the South, which is the Bible Belt, which is all Democrats, you've got conservative, socially conservative Democrats, but probably fiscally liberal. Okay? Today, there are very few of them left. What Roosevelt wanted to do was get rid of these conservative Democrats. Okay, so if I draw the political spectrum, you know who you are. Yes? So, the Democrats are here, yes? Conservative Democrats are here. Yes? So what Roosevelt wanted to get was get rid of these people and get people out here, liberal Democrats. So in the primary elections, where you choose the candidate that's going to run, Roosevelt was supporting these people over these people. Now, in the general election, when everybody gets to vote, people look at these people, they're like, I'm not voting for that guy. He's a wacko. He's a social, he's a commie. Okay? Listen, we saw this in our state. We are a very red state. What party is our governor? Democrat. Why? Because the Republicans put up Chris Kobach for governor, who is a right-wing extremist. Now, I agree with most of what Chris Kobach believes in, but the guy gives me the creeps. And so a lot of Republicans were like, I'm not voting for this guy. And if I'm not voting for him, I guess I'm voting for the Democrat. Or I'm staying home and not voting at all. Because Kobach gives me the creeps. Seriously. And this is what happens to the Democrats. Be careful what you wish for. Because most Americans, guys, are not out here. And most aren't out here. Most are in here. So this is one of the reasons why Democrats lost so many seats in 38. That, the court packing scheme, and the recession. So while we're in the Depression, things had improved. Now they start to slide backwards. Unemployment goes up. Okay? So we are not out of the Depression. It's 38 now. Okay? Now, I just threw this in. This is the last slide. This shows you control of the House and Senate going back to 1855. Up top here is the Senate. The bottom down here is the House. Okay? So, Republicans after the Civil War, more population in the North. Yes, Lincoln. Okay? Democrats sneak back in here a little bit. Republicans dominate. Then you get to Roosevelt. Okay? Democrats. Republicans sneak in here right after World War II for 2 years. And that 1946, that 80th Congress, we'll talk about. Because this Congress right here is going to try and undo what is being created, the New Deal. They're going to we're getting rid of this crap. Okay? Democrats come back in, Republicans, and then Democrats dominate until 1994. Okay, when Newt Gingrich and the Republican Revolution took place. Okay. And since then, it's kind of been back and forth. Okay. So, it's just kind of an interesting map to look at. Chart. Yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That's on Canvas. You want to take a close look at. Huh?
Congress?
Yeah, I mean, here and there. There's one here. Okay. One here. Reagan, when Reagan was president. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, Reagan passed some of the biggest tax cuts in American history with a Democratic Congress. That's how popular he was. Okay. And they feared him because the American people loved Reagan. So, and then he got shot and then survived it. And they're like, this guy wants to get this done. The people love him. We're going to vote with him. Okay. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's really interesting to look at. Okay. The Obama years. Okay. After 2 years or 4 years, that was the last 2 years of Bush, first 2 years of Obama. Okay. All right. Good. All right. So, if we are here tomorrow, we will review. We'll have a review day. If we are not here tomorrow, we will not have a review day. We will have a day off, and on Wednesday we'll review. And Thursday we'll take the test. If we are here tomorrow, we'll review and take the test when we get back on Wednesday.
Are you gonna record the review if we're on it?
The review?
Yeah, if we're here Wednesday, like if we're in school Thursday.
I'll probably do like a short video, like 5 minutes explaining what to look for on the test. Yes.
Okay.
Good?